Hey, by the way, tonight's game, New York wins that outright.
You know he's on top. Million subs, he never gonna flop. Out of Chicago, where the streets don't sleep. Betting on games, making cash real deep. Crystal ball for sports, he knows the lines. He's a sports aficionado, the money he finds. From football to basketball, he's always on point. Predicting winners never disappoints. He's got that hustle, that Chicago vibe. Making moves on the streets, cash on the side. With E, you know it's always a bet. He's the king of the game, never forget.
Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for September 9th. How's everyone doing? My name is Erik. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. Absolutely. Plus, share some week 2 bets, and Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day. But before we get into all that, I would like to say thank you to the sponsor of the show, ProphetX. Guys, if you're not using ProphetX, go to the App Store, download the app, use promo code ETOFT21. That way they know old Uncle Rico sent you. Guys, this peer-to-peer sports betting stuff, this is going to be the future of sports betting. We're seeing it here in Illinois where they're starting to tax for wages. King Midas is down in the great state of Texas where online sportsbook isn't even legal. So the peer-to-peer stuff is down there. So guys, this is the future. Make sure you hop onto it. Now, before we welcome King Midas onto the show, let's go ahead and see what Gino's horse racing bet of the day is from closing day at Kentucky Downs.
Wednesday's closing day at Kentucky Downs. I like Philly in here quite a bit. I have had this Philly on my watch list from last year. Destino Dioro. She ran twice last year in the Grade 2 Jessamine. She had one of the most brutal trips you could ever imagine. She just missed that day, and I've been waiting for her all year to run back. She ran back in June. She won. Then she stepped up into Graded Stakes Company in August. She won again. She might actually be bettable this time. If you notice her price in her last 3 races, she gets bet every time. She's heavily favored. She's 9-2 on the morning line. I mean, if she's anything over 5-2, I think that's value in her. I absolutely love this filly. I think she has a huge future if she runs well here. It'll probably be over to Keeneland for the Grade 1 QE2. Destino Dioro, the number 2, on Wednesday at Kentucky Downs. That's race number 10. Make sure to head to drf.com for everything you need. And for all of you who play the races and who also like to bet on sports, there's a great section on drf.com about the sports betting offers, and you can actually claim up to $5,000 in different sportsbook offers. So you can just check and see the comparisons between all the sportsbook, the different sportsbooks wherever you live, the different deals you can claim. Best of luck this week.
Make sure to give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me Gino B. I'll be on him with DRF tomorrow giving a game-by-game preview, and I'm also on DRF giving my college football bet of the weekend. Last week we cashed with Iowa +3 and the hook, so that was great. Now let's go ahead. Let's welcome Texas State's the Bobcats #1 fan all the way down in Texas, Tyler, aka King Midas Bets. Tyler, how you doing today, my man?
What's up? What's up? Glad to be back on. Happy football season.
Happy football, dude. You know, it's here. You know, I'm already like sleep deprived. Someone at work said it looks like I'm not sleeping at all. I'm like, yeah, dude, we got college football, we got NFL. I hate when people say I'm in the lab, but I feel like I'm in the lab 24/7. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that term, but I feel I'm in the lab.
Now's the time of year. I mean, especially college football, the portal. I mean, there's a lot to learn. NFL week 1, week 2 coming up. Now's the time to be doing your homework.
So it was an interesting week 1. I'm sure we each have a couple takeaways. I'm sure we could dive into stuff. I was going to go on this huge rampage about how Seattle was using Kenneth Walker and everything. Here is my thing, okay? Now, I play DFS. Me and my boy Kyle, we do a little show called the DFS Huddle. We like give out stuff. I was winning the Millionaire Maker going into the last. Now, granted, I went heavy. I went so heavy in the 1 o'clock window. Okay. The 4 o'clock window, I had Kenneth Walker and George Kittle. George Kittle got hurt the second drive of the game after he scored his touchdown. Dead. Yep. Kenneth Walker, I don't even know what Seattle was doing offensively. They incorporated this huge zone running scheme. They weren't even doing zone runs with him. When Zach Charbonnet was in, he was just power gap running. No idea what the hell Seattle was doing. So needless to say, it was so depressing because you just see yourself like slowly just
going down the rankings, just slipping away.
I think it was up like 68, 60. I had like a good cushion. So yeah, it was a depressing day. But you know what? Football is here. You know, and it's great. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not a Bears fan. Even though I did bet the Bears last night, I'm not a Bears fan. Even though I do live here in Chicago. People are so depressed here. Like this, like the year is over. Caleb's washed. Ben Johnson, they should fire. It is so great it's back, dude. It is so great it's back. I fucking love it, man.
It is great that it's back, but like you, I was on the Bears last night. I do feel like that was the right side of that play, but we all watched the same game.
Dude, and I had Swift over 53, over 52.5, finished with 53, thank God. So, you know, 1-1, slightly in the red. But we're not here to look back at that. We'll get to how we did in the bets in the show in a little bit. But let's go ahead. Let's look back at week one. What is your first takeaway? What is your takeaway? Sorry.
My takeaway was that at this point in the season, we're all happy to be back betting, but the books were way ahead of the public in week one. And that's true for college football, and that is true for the NFL as well. If you look at the heaviest public bet teams for college, top 5, 4 of them lost. The only one that actually did cover that was heavy public money was Illinois. And that ended up with a lopsided score at the end of that game. That was actually a much closer game than it appeared to be. I think Duke might be a good bet moving forward just because people are going to look at that final score. But Iowa State, Mississippi, Michigan, and Texas were the other 4, and all of those lost. On the NFL side, the top 5 bets are public heavy money: Steelers, Cardinals, Giants, Broncos, Lions, and only the Cardinals covered. So you've got, out of the top 10 between college and NFL, the books cashed on 8 of those. Bet small week one. You may think you have an edge week one. You don't.
The Duke game was so frustrating, man. Like, as someone that had Duke +3, I think Duke just turned it over. They had 6 turnovers that game. Like, literally, oh my God. Like,
I was on Duke, by the way. I mean,
it was brutal, dude. They just literally just kept on turning the ball over.
Yep.
And it was a brutal watch. And to make things worse, after that, I had UAB +21.5. So then I had to sit through a UAB football game. Dude, you haven't lived. So just for reference point, my watching on Saturday went from Iowa State, which was disgusting.
Yeah.
Switching back and forth between on the second TV, sorry, Duke and
Illinois.
What? Disgusting.
Yeah.
The midday window, UAB Navy, absolutely disgusting. And then I closed it out with Mississippi State. So I couldn't complain. That game was entertaining, actually, but it was an ugly day of football. Giants, I have an interesting Giants stat I'm going to give out a little bit later when we get to them. My big takeaway, and look, I'm rocking my Lions hat. I'm a huge Detroit fan. I grew up in Michigan. It's going to be a long year in Detroit. I love my Lions. I know the big storyline everyone wants to talk about is Ben Johnson leaving. Even if Johnson was still here, the Lions lost 2 starters from the best offensive line in football. It doesn't matter who's calling the plays. When you lose guys like that, the whole offense changes. Last season, the Lions were great running the football. Their lowest rush total last year was 111 yards. Mm-hmm. Green Bay, who traded away their best run stopper in Kenny Clark to the Cowboys in the Parsons trade, the Lions only had 46 yards rushing. That is a huge drop-off. And protecting the quarterback, last season, the Lions only gave up 1.88 sacks per game. On Sunday, they gave up 4. Yeah. Losing Frank the Tank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler has completely changed this unit. And to me, the window's closed. Like, they should have won it 2 years ago, the year when they're in San Francisco up big. That was their year. Mm-hmm. Window's closed. Now, look, for those who want to blame Jared Goff, I'll say this. With Ben Johnson, Goff was told what to do. He was basically like, dude, you're going up the line. This is it. If this isn't there, you throw there. Like they made it so vanilla with him. Now Morton is coming as an OC. He is giving Goff all the control at the line. And people forget this is the reason why Goff was ran out of LA in the first place. He can't handle calling plays on the line. And that's what doomed the Rams. And that's why he's in Detroit now because of the Stafford trade. So, yes, people will point to Johnson not being there, but at the end of the day, that's not what it is. The real problem is the two offensive linemen gone. And even if Johnson was here, I think the Lions would still be struggling. And the fact that Morton is having Goff call plays at the line, it's even worse, dude. So, look,
two linemen out plus calling plays at the line, that's not going to help anything.
Dude, he is showing he can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. It's just going to be a rough season. And people forget I'll give LaFleur all the credit in the world. LaFleur, what he does is he gives Love 3 plays. He's like, dude, you're doing A, B, or C.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can call it at the line, but those are your choices.
Did you ever watch the show Quarterbacks a couple of years ago with Cousins on there? Yeah. You remember when he went from Minnesota to Atlanta, and in Minnesota, it allowed him to be a lot more aggressive and be himself. He went to Atlanta, and they're trying to motion on every play, motion twice, a lot more calling at the line. He went from a guy that they paid a whole bunch of money to being their backup because of that. And that reminds me a lot of what you're saying about Goff. You know, some guys operate in it's not that it's simple, but it is very directed. It's coach directed versus go up there and do a million things and then snap the ball and hope everybody's on the same page.
And don't get it wrong, Goff is insanely talented.
Yeah.
But it's just he needs to have stuff lined up for him. It's kind of like Gino Smith looked great for Las Vegas. He looked phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But Chip Kelly's just making it easy for him. And I really think that with Morton is not doing that. He's trying to give Goff a little bit more control. And look, call me what you want to call me. One of my futures, Detroit not to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Detroit not to make the playoffs. One of my futures. Also about week one thing that really stood out to me, and I caught a lot of flack for it, and this should have been it, and I'm going to do my victory lap. Daniel Jones is better than Anthony Richardson.
Well, that's a no-brainer. I've been telling people that Daniel Jones is not – it's like a running joke on my gambling group text where I say that Daniel Jones is not as bad as people think. And so I was not surprised at all when he went in there and won that starting job. And my opinion is the Giants gave him one decent offensive line and one decent team to surround himself with on offense his entire career there. And what did he do? He made the playoffs.
And
he can play.
He RPO with Jonathan Taylor, good offensive line, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Anthony Pierce, Tyler Warren. I also thought the Colts are going to have a top 10 offense.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. And he can drive the bus. He can get the ball in the hands of his playmakers. He can actually run it when he needs to. But he is now for the first time in several years in a functional offense. And I think it's going to drive Giants fans crazy this year because the guy that they just piled all their problems on, saying everything is this guy's fault. And we'd all see the Twitter clips of him, throwing a terrible pass, which he did sometimes. They're going to look like fools this year because he can play.
Now, I will say this about the Giants. It really says a lot that there's a story going around that the Bull met with ownership about starting Jackson Dart already, week 2.
As in he wants to, or the ownership wants to sell some tickets?
No, he wants to, but I don't think the ownership wants them to do it.
Well,
I think that's what it was.
Who knows? All I know, I think the Giants are just beyond dysfunctional, especially on the offensive side of the ball. My opinion is I wouldn't throw Dart into that mess. You're going to ruin him too soon. But he may be the best quarterback on the team, but the veteran is probably the wise move right now because we've seen so many NFL quarterbacks that are talented rookies. They get thrown in behind no offensive line, and they get ruined for their career. They start seeing ghosts, and 5 years later, it's not out of their system.
And the thing is no one was going to take Dart in that first round pick that they had.
Right.
Why not take an offensive lineman? They are so freaking stout in offensive line. It's just, amazing.
I'm pretty sure Jones was saying the same thing for however many years he was there. Why can't we get an offensive line?
Let's go ahead. Let's talk some betting. Before you get into bets, we got to see how O'Kane and I did last week. 3-3 last week with O'Kane hitting the Cards and Commanders moneyline parlay, losing the Texans +3 and the Dolphins pick'em. Old Uncle Rico hit the Cowboys +8, the Browns +5.5, but lost the Giants +6. 3-3 last week. Look, we literally cannot complain, and it was funny. Have you done a guillotine lead before?
No.
So I run a guillotine lead, and look, if someone bails out, you'll be the first one I reach out to next year. This is so much effing fun, dude.
How does it work?
So basically, the lowest point total from the week is out.
And these are like daily fantasy type points, or are they like your betting picks?
Nope, fantasy football. So you pick your squad. 18 teams are in it. Now there's only 17. One of them got chopped off. And it's completely intense. Like, you're here dreading it out. Like I had Jamar Chase, who did nothing. I'm all in on the Jets this year. I had Fields and Wilson going. They balled out. Dobbins got TD. I was fine. But the two guys that were battling out to be eliminated, one of them was O'Kane, who won the league last year. My other one was my boy Brandon. And they're both texting me during the Vikings game, because one had Jefferson, the other one had Hawkinson. And if Hawkinson would have scored a touchdown, O'Kane would have been knocked out. So he sends me a screenshot how he took a live bet with Hawkinson just to score a touchdown, so he wouldn't be pissed off. It was kind of funny.
That's a hedge.
That's funny. So he's hedging his fantasy football. It was kind of funny. Interesting week 2. You can always find some value. Lines are moving, guys. Lines are moving. Got to get in there. You're going down to your Bobcats, though, to start off, my friend.
Yeah, you know the people who they're always homers for their team, or they're the opposite. They always think the worst about their team and their team's going to lose. I'm the latter. I always think the worst. I thought we were going to lose to UTSA last week, which we won to go 2-0. I was completely shocked when I saw that this line was at 15, and it's actually midday today moved down to 14.5. And then last time I checked before I went on the show, it was already down to 14. So the sharp money is figured out pretty quickly that this is a bad line. My research prior to the line coming out had it somewhere between 7 and 10. Last year, Arizona State came to Texas State. It was a really tight game. Texas State was actually winning 21-7 at one point. Blew the game at the end, lost by 3, fumbled with a chance to win. But it was a game that could go either way. And then the rest was history, with Arizona State making the playoffs and taking Texas down to the wire. Easily could have beat Texas in that game. This year, they lose Cam Scatteraboo at running back, but they've got Levitt back at quarterback. Bobcats look good, though. The defense is nothing to write home about. That's just the way G.J. Kinney, our coach, plays. But our offense is absolutely electric. We have a wide receiver named Bo Sparks, scored 4 touchdowns in his first game. We have a dynamic dual threat quarterback named Brad Jackson, who is really key when you're playing a team that's going to be physically more talented than you. We have a great senior running back, Lincoln Perry, who's just been housing it. I think we're going to put up points, and I think we're going to keep this game close. I think Arizona State is going to score on us. I think every team we play is going to score on us. But that's the type of game we like to play. We like a shootout. And I think that we'll score enough to make this one interesting. And once again, I'm not a homer. I am the guy who always thinks we're going to lose. I thought we would lose to UTSA last week. And we We scored 0 points. We scored 0 points in the first quarter other than a safety, 0 offensive points, and still ended the game with 43. I mean, we put that up in 3 quarters.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bobcats, and if you need an additional play, I'd take the over. I think it's around 57, 57 and a half. The over-under last week in the UTSA game was 66 and a half. It was 2-0 at the end of the first quarter and ended with 70-something. I mean, it's
those high totals, like if they start slow, are just great to live bet, dude.
Boom, you could have got that.
Boom.
It's just so I mean, I think the total between us and UTSA was 31 points scored in the second quarter. I mean, it was right back on track by halftime. So, Bobcats are my college play.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. My first bet here. Before that, I was on this team last week fading Arizona State. Their offensive line is putrid. Their offensive line really did struggle. My first bet, I'm going to Thursday night. Hard Rock, they have the Packers -3. So I was able to get the Packers -3. Bear with me because all my notes have just disappeared, my friend.
No worries.
Bear with me 1 minute while I go to my other file of why we were taking the Packers here.
So, yeah, I see that they're at home against the Commanders.
Well, yeah, they're at home against the Commanders here. Boom, boom, boom. Where are we at here? Dude, you got to love technology, dude. You got to love technology, man. All right. Looking at it last year, we talked about the Giants before. The Giants had 11 plays inside the 10 and 4 plays inside Washington's 3. They didn't even score. If they're able to get points in any of those situations, this Commanders game, you know what I mean? The scoreboard's going to look a lot different. Favorites are hitting at 56% on Thursday Night Football. LaFleur as a home favorite, 63% against the number. LaFleur in prime time, 23-9 in prime time. And when you look at the first 3 games of the year, 16-3 ATS. He's just a covering machine in these spots. Packers defense held the Lions to 246 yards, just 46 yards rushing. Commanders last year were their top 5 run-heavy team, but the Packers shut down the run. Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to have some issues. Washington's offensive line have some problems. I know people are making a big deal about how good Daniels looked running the ball. To me, those people just look at the box score because if you really watch the game, New York was able to get pressure because of the issues of the Commanders' offensive line. Thus, it forced Daniels into those running situations. Packers' offensive line protected well. They gave Jordan Love time. He looked sharp. He should pick apart this Washington defense, which I'm not too high on this year. Commanders 0-6 straight up their last 6 road games. Washington, they were 20 for 23 on 4th downs last year. 20 for 23. They are due for some regression. I think the Packers have the advantage in the trenches. I think they have a huge coaching advantage with the floor. I think Love's going to be able to pick this secondary apart. And short home favorites on Thursday, dude, I absolutely love them. So look, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. You can get it at Hard Rock for a good price, -3. So lay it on me, my friend.
No arguments here.
Next one. And I'll tell you what, dude, for someone that was in Circa and someone that is in the Bet Online survival contest and a couple other ones, I really wish that kid from the Browns would have made a goddamn field goal. But go ahead.
So one of my favorite things to do at week 2 NFL is, some people call it like zigzag. You basically have a team that didn't cover facing a team that looked good covering, and you bet the team that didn't cover and looked bad, because the theory is the betting public just overreacts. Everybody overreacts to week 1 NFL. And I think that this is a really good spot for the Bengals. I look at that line, and to me, they're at home. They're playing the Jaguars. I feel like that line is just begging. Vegas is begging you to take Jacksonville. Jacksonville goes out. They destroy the Panthers. That was a 26-10 game. Was never really in doubt. And then you're now getting 3 and a hook with Jacksonville. They want you to take that. The Bengals have a history of starting slow. They actually did get the win, but they looked bad. It was a 1-point win against the Browns. But people forget that's a team that they struggle with. That's an in-state rivalry. But now they're back at home. And the Jags defense did a really good job against Carolina. But what they got with Bryce Young and that Carolina offense was completely ugly and incomparable to anything that they're going to face with the Bengals. The Bengals will air it out. It's going to be Burrow. It's going to be Chase. It's going to be the ball flying everywhere. So them doing good against the Panthers at home really doesn't have any effect on this. I look at that line and I'm thinking the public is going to take Jacksonville on that one. And I think that they're walking right into what the books want them to do. So I'm going to zigzag on that one. Bengals didn't cover. Jaguars did. Flip-flop it this week.
Are we worried? How could I word this? How can I word this poetically? That the Panthers just made the Jaguars look better than they were?
I think
you know what I mean.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think
because I had the Jaguars in Survivor. That was my Survivor pick, and I really feel, and I don't mean to cut you off, and I apologize.
Yeah, no.
Panthers defense sucks. I think it could be worse than the Bengals. I think it is worse than the Bengals. But go ahead with what you're going to say. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say you look at Bryce Young throwing picks in that game that on passes. Joe Burrow, he's a gunslinger. He may make some mistakes, but what they're getting ready to see is just completely different. The Panthers rushed for 113 yards total. I don't know. I mean, the Panthers are like, people kind of were starting to expect them to show some improvement this year. It's not based on week 1. It's not there. They're a bad team. Jacksonville beat a bad team in Jacksonville, and now people are going to think that they're good, and it's just a complete overreaction to the only thing they've seen, which is week 1. It's hard to blame them, but you have to keep things in perspective a little bit.
And you're now going – now, I know, like, you want to see something funny. Like, look at Bryce Young standing next to Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. You want to see something funny. But anyway, you're going against a kid playing quarterback who can't see anything to playing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Now, if Travis Hunter, who is an elite DB, isn't playing DB, he's playing the majority of wide receiver. Now you're having Jamar Chase against Campbell, who is just an awful DB. Mm-hmm. And I know fantasy owners are bitching about Jamar Chase, me included. He is in a great spot. I mean, I think Chase isn't going to have a good game. I think Burrow's going to be able to pick this defense apart. I absolutely love this bet. And every year there's these teams that like get hyped up. Last year was the Falcons. And I think this year's the Jaguars. A lot of people are on the Jaguars. So I absolutely love this bet for you. And for those who want to do it, I think it's a nice little survivor bet, dude. I think it's a nice little survivor bet.
I considered it. I did not pick them as my survivor team this week, but I was thinking about it because it's a team that you don't necessarily have to, you get to burn it once, right? So you don't want to burn a team that you would really be wanting to go back to later. And I'm really not that high on the Bengals overall this year just because of their defense.
Yeah.
It's just a great spot for them.
Also, I'm going to word this. Cold weather team. Oh no, it's going to be warm in Cincinnati. What am I talking about? We have a little hot streak coming up here. And also I just don't think Trevor Lawrence is that good. I'll say it. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that good. I think he's a little overrated. My next bet, I found this one on lovely BetMGM. Give me the New York Football Jets +7 against the Buffalo Bills. Teams getting 7 or more in weeks 1 through 3, 50% ATS. When it is a home divisional dog in that spot, 7-3 last 20 years. Now, I know everyone's ranting and raving about the Bills and their big comeback win. Let's just kind of sit back. 32nd in defensive DVOA. Pass DVOA, 32nd. Rush DVOA, 31st. They allowed 8.6 yards per play.
Yeah.
Taking angles from these Bills DBs that were terrible. Look, Derrick Henry is a physical beast. He is insane, but he's not fast anymore. They were making Derrick Henry look fast with the angles and everything that they were taking.
They didn't want to catch him.
Now,
They're scared of him.
Now, when we look at their secondary, Tyler Rapp, starting safety for the Buffalo Bills, PFF grade 29.1, 76 out of 76. The other safety, Bishop, 54.8, 52nd out of 76. Strong, who lines up on the same side as Rapp, 45.3, 80th out of 96 DBs. And then Brentford, their other one, 61.6 PFF grade, 53rd. This defensive backfield is awesome. I was so high on Garrett Wilson because Garrett Wilson played with Justin Fields at Ohio State. Fields is obviously going to lead on someone that he knows. And he just played the Pittsburgh secondary, which is miles better than this train wreck. Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields are going to be able to eat. This Tanner Estrange offense, it's simple. He goes like this. He's like, Fields, Hall, Wilson, you guys touch the ball. It's really that simple. He's just letting his best players touch the ball. And I really don't understand why more coaches don't do this. You know what I mean? Like Sean Payton was notorious in the Saints trying to do cute shit. Just give your best players the ball. Ran the ball 39 times in week 1, second most in the NFL. And now you're going against the worst rushing DVOA defense. They're going to be able to move the ball. That's going to control the clock, limit Josh Allen possessions. Fields look confident. Some of these throws Fields made were insane, fitting into tight windows against the Steelers. Hall looked like he's recovered from his injury, looks solid, great matchup versus the Bills. And you know what I say, my friend? Nothing motivates people more than money. Breece Hall is in a contract year. These are the matchups he's going to look to ball out. Josh Allen on the road laying over 3.5 is only 48% against the number. In divisional games, that dips down to 44. Bills are coming off an emotional comeback win on Sunday Night Football versus the Baltimore Ravens. Huge letdown spot. Look, we got the trends. We got the situational spot. Bills defense, insanely overrated. Bad tackling, weak secondary. With the Jets, run heavy, simple game plan, and Fields mobility, I think they're going to be able to hang inside the number. Give me the New York Jets. Jets, Jets, my friend.
I love it.
+7.
I think they have a very good shot of winning straight up. Anytime you're playing a team that can't play defense, you have a good chance of just winning straight up. You had me at divisional home dog. I mean, really, that's if you don't know anything about betting, or if you're just watching random games and you haven't done any research, and one's a divisional home dog, just play that side. I mean, you're almost never. I'm not saying you're never going to lose, but you're almost never making a betting mistake taking a divisional home dog. And then when you add in the emotional factor of the big comeback win, the letdown spot's huge here. What do you think about the over in that game, by the way?
Oh, I actually kind of like it. I think that game's going to blow out.
I think both teams are going to put up points there, and I think over could be a play.
My thing with the Jets, and I love them this year. Like honestly, I have hated the Jets forever. Like this Jets team, I actually like them. I bet them over 6.5. Glenn has them taking accountability. It looked completely different than that shit show with Robert Saleh.
They were feisty. I mean, they were going off to halftime, literally trying to just like pick fights with the Steelers. I mean, they were getting after it.
Completely different team.
Yeah, it's like, who are these guys out here?
Completely different team. Next bet, your friend, and you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I bet this one before the show started.
Love it. All right, so same theory as the first bet. I'm looking for a team that I think is going to be pretty good that looked bad, or at least their score looked bad in week 1, and I want them facing a team that did pretty well in week one. And so I've got the Texans. They're -2.5. They're at home. They're playing Tampa Bay. They lost to the Rams, a Rams team I think that's going to be pretty good. They lost on the road to them 14-9. So kind of a ugly, low-scoring game. Nobody's really lining up to bet the Texans after that score. They played a really sloppy game. They were 2 of 9 on third down. You're not going to win many games doing that. They had 11 penalties. I feel like a lot of those things are very fixable issues. And they're playing a Buccaneers team that won by 3 in Atlanta, and they had to play damn near a perfect game to even get that. Baker Mayfield, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They had no turnovers in the game at all. They only had 5 penalties, but they played a perfect game and barely beat what I think is going to be a pretty mediocre team. Yeah. And it's going to take, assuming the Texans clean some things up, it's going to take a lot more to go on the road and beat them. Their running game for Tampa really did nothing to inspire me. Bucky Irving, 14 carries, 37 yards. I mean, I think the Texans, they have their offensive issues, but they still have got enough weapons at home. They should win this game. They're better than what they showed last week. And if their offense had performed to the level that it's capable of last week, you would not be getting this line. This line would definitely be on the other side of 3. So I think we're getting some value here. Wouldn't surprise me if this does tick up to 3 at some point in the week as people kind of start to think more about it. But I think gut reaction is Texans didn't look good. Money's going to go on the other side.
And I mean, it was a close game going into half. I mean, they still were in a position to win it. CJ Stroud is going to look better. I think they're going to make some adjustments, move Nico around a little bit. Rams defense in the back 4 is, I think, decent. It's a lot better than what Tampa Bay is going to be running out. ProphetX was able to move the ball when London went out. So their wide receiver core, if you guys want a good laugh, go to the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver depth chart. That is a phenomenal good laugh when you read the players there. And ProphetX, who I'm not high on, was able to move the ball against this Bucks back 4. I think Stroud is home. I think this is a must win for them. I mean, they cannot afford to go.
Can't go to.
I think this is a great game, great spot for them. I bet the 2.5 as well. My next bet. And gambling is all about buying low and selling high, right, my friend?
That's it. That's the whole idea. That's how you create value.
Give me the Miami Dolphins on the money line, -120.
It's the same theory, though, right? It's the same theory. They look terrible. Bet them now.
Buying low, selling high.
Yep.
No,
love it.
Stock is lower than the Miami Dolphins right now, coming off a 25-point loss to the Colts. Teams coming off a 20-point loss or more, 54% against the number, 3.6% ROI last 20 years. Now, let's just look at Tua. Tua at home, 64% against the number. Home favorite, 57%. Home favorite at 1 p.m., 65%. Straight up at home. And that's all I need him to do. I just need him to win straight up at home. 25-8. At home in the 1 p.m. window, 20-5. Why is that? Miami, heat and humidity, middle of the day from a northern team. It's going to be 80s with 100% of humidity. And the way that they have the stadium set up in the Hard Rock, the visitors just have that sun just beating on them for the whole thing. It's going to be brutal. Historically speaking, the Packers do struggle in Miami. Now let's look at Tua. Tua is averaging in his career 233 yards per game passing versus New England. His TD to INT ratio is 1.8 to 0.4, which is great. His last 2 games, 300 plus passing yards. Dolphins have won 8 of the last 9 versus the Pats straight up. Now, when we talk about defense, Patriots, 27th DVOA, 28th in pass coverage. Dude, their safeties, I don't know if you had a chance to rewatch the Raiders game, are bad. They are bad. Their safeties are bad. And if Christian Gonzalez is out, that's going to be huge for the Miami passing attack. And I really don't understand what they're doing on offense. Josh McDaniels talk about this is supposed to be a power zone option attack. There was literally no Drake May runs against the Raiders. Against the Raiders front, managing just 60 yards. Drake May struggled in the red zone. Offense still a work in process under Vrabel. And this is how I always feel, okay? When you're a coach, you got to keep involving. You know what I mean? You got to keep learning. You got to keep involving. You got to keep the what's the word I'm looking for? It tight, so to speak. Mm-hmm. If you get out of it, you lose it, and it takes a while to get back. Vrabel looked a little lost in my eyes on Sunday. He looked a little lost with some of his decision making. Now, look, I know he was a quote unquote special assistant to Cleveland, but I mean, he really wasn't involved with all the day-to-day operations. That's why we see all these coaches that come back into it from announcing start off slow. And I think that's going to be the case with the Patriots. And the Patriots are another one of these teams that everyone was high on, didn't look that good. This is a buy low spot in Miami coming off a blow-off loss. Tua owns the Patriots at home. The matchup, the weather, favors the Dolphins. Patriots defense and their offense both look shaky. Give me the Miami Dolphins on the freaking money line, dude.
Buy low, sell high.
Minus 120, dude.
It's the same. I mean, the only reason I didn't pick it, I mean, I was watching that Dolphins game thinking, yeah, I'm going to bet on them next week because they're not that bad. The only reason I didn't pick it was because the team they were facing also looked bad, so it didn't truly fit my theory. But it does in a way, in the sense that you're getting a massive public overreaction to week one. And they played awful. Don't get me wrong. They played awful. I'm not going to defend the way they played. But also, we may be looking at that Colts team down the line saying, they actually lost to a pretty dang good team. They played bad. They lost, but it was to a good team. And it's not going to look like a terrible road loss 8 weeks from now.
I think the Colts are a lot better. Like you're saying, I think the Colts are a lot better. My one worry, though, and someone who I was talking to did bring this up to me, like my buddy who I do the circuit with, we were talking about games earlier today. His counter was, "Are you worried the players have quit?" And I don't.
It's week 2. Who's quitting in week 2?
I don't think that yet.
You can't quit in week 2 because think about this. I mean, even if they're completely egotistical and selfish, are you planning on running 16 more weeks of bad film on yourself in a league where you're trying to get paid? No way.
Dude, Kyrie Hill just wants to be a porn star, though.
Well, I mean,
Tyreek Hill, dude.
It's an option.
Dude, I'm telling you. Dude, NFL's here. It's great. Last night's game, a little brutal for us that bet him. Let's, real quick, I have never seen a quarterback throw a pick six. What we got there? Cubbies?
Cats by 90, Bobcats. I'm wearing the hat, calling my shot.
I have never seen a quarterback throw a pick six, then go on to lead 3 scoring drives in the fourth quarter. I'm pretty good at deciding if quarterbacks are going to be good. I may be eating crow at the end of the season.
About JJ?
I may be eating crow about JJ.
He's not good. I still refuse to believe it. I think that they're going to have him be a quarterback who basically just drives the bus. They're going to try to put him in simple, winnable situations. They're not going to ask too much of him. And I think that he'll maybe at the end of the day look pretty good, have decent stats because of that. He's got one of the best 3 receivers in the league to throw it to and keep things open. Got a good tight end. But there's a ceiling there. There's a lot of guys that you can go out there and almost like you treat it almost like if a backup quarterback entered the game and you're like, all right, we're going to keep it simple. We're not going to ask you to do too much. A lot of check downs. That's going to be him. And anything that he does beyond that is because he's got just a totally elite wide receiver that can make plays for him. I mean, I can throw it to Jefferson. Also, notice the jewelry he was wearing last night.
I love it. I love anyone that wears bling. I love. Any features you guys like after week 1? I did take a position on the Ravens plus 750 to win it all. it moved from 5 to 750. And my thing was, I said it, whoever loses that game, I'm going to take a future on. Like I don't have many Super Bowl futures this year. Actually, I'm thinking about it. The only Super Bowl future I have this year was the 49ers at 20 to 1, I think. 20 or 22 to 1, something like that.
I don't know if you have any lines up, but I would be interested in anything Texans making the playoffs, something like that. Maybe if you got it at right around even money or a little bit better, I would take Texans there. I'd also be interested in something maybe on the Colts to make the playoffs. I know that that's a little bit weird because you may be buying high right now on the Colts, but I really don't think people are actually believing in them yet. I think they're just hating on the Dolphins. But I think Texans to make the playoffs, Colts to make the playoffs, Packers to make the playoffs. I'd be very interested in all of that. I'd take a flyer on Packers to win the NFC. Those are things that are jumping to my mind right now.
See, buddy, if you watch the pregame show, we got the Colts. You watch the AFC South. I gave out the Colts plus 400 to win it. I'm sitting on the Packers plus 230.
Yeah.
So these are to make the playoff odds. Just siphoning through them. I mean, Seattle plus 280, and interesting. You still get plus money on the Cardinals, which I find interesting.
That is interesting to me. For the record, I pretty much will only bet make the playoff bets at better than even money, because I don't want to lay a lot of juice on a favorite and then get decimated by injuries. I want it to be something where you're going to get paid.
Lions are now minus 120 not to make the playoffs.
Dang.
I mean, have the mighty have fallen, my friend.
I think that's right, but at the same time, it's typical gamblers' overreaction to a bad week. But at the end of the day, the offensive line's not going to fix itself, and that the offense has been dangerous because of the weapons. But if you can't get the ball in their hands because the O-line can't block, what does it matter?
Now, would you be more inclined to take the Texans plus 110 to win to make the playoffs, or plus 185 to win the South?
I would probably split the difference and bet both. But I would say off the top of my head, let me look at it real quick, but I'm gonna say I would take the make the playoffs bet because I'm a little worried about the Colts. Not gonna lie.
I love the Colts. I love me the Colts.
But I can see them both getting in. I mean, if you look at Houston's schedule, let me pull it back up. If you look at Houston's schedules, there's a lot of wins on this schedule. And I think that they could sneak into the playoffs without winning the division. Sorry, I lost it. Houston. So you already know that I think that they win this one, Buccaneers. Then they got Jags. At Jags, I'm going to say likely win. Titans win. At Ravens, loss. Seahawks, 49ers, Broncos, Jags, Titans. There's a lot of wins on that schedule. Yeah. I still like Texans to make the playoffs. I wouldn't bet both Colts and Texans because they're both in the same division, but if I'd go with one or the other. What's the line on the Colts to make the playoffs?
Plus 165.
There's your play right there. That's it. That's a no-brainer.
That's it right there.
That's it. That's the play.
I was going to look. I have a great price on what's his face, Garrett Wilson, to lead the league in receiving yards. I was trying to find that with my blind ass glasses and everything. King Midas, aka Tyler, I'd like to thank you for coming on, talking a little shop. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and if they want to become part of your betting package, my friend?
At King Midas Bets on X, and that's pretty much the only place that you can find me. I do the other stuff so sporadically. Find me on Twitter. I've been giving out free plays. I gave out Oregon on Saturday -28 against Oklahoma State. They won that game 69-3. So that was just some free money for everybody.
You really sweated
Mike Gundy was in the news talking trash all week. Lanning is a guy who will just absolutely run it up. So that was my free college play of the weekend. -28 won that. They won by 66 points.
I mean, Lanning's that guy, like, when he's going to run it, when he's just going to be a dick. And I absolutely love him for that.
NIL has completely decimated Oklahoma State. If NIL came about 15 years ago when they had T. Boone Pickens money flowing,
it would have been insane.
It would have been insane. But they don't have that money anymore. They, at the time, wisely spent it on amazing facilities. They've had some of the best facilities in the country for a while, but the game completely changed. No, I mean, a lot of schools have nice facilities now. Players are going where they get paid, and Oregon's paying them, and Oklahoma State's not. And you're talking trash, you got bullied. Bullied.
Oregon's got, well, I mean, when you got Phil Knight and Nike, dude, I think you're set, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're set.
And Phil Knight's getting old, man. He's not gonna go to his grave without getting a natty, and he hadn't done it yet. He's gotten very close. He's gotten to the championship, but he's not won it, and he will spend what it takes to win one.
It's kind of cool. Like, at Oregon, they have that thing for the kids. What is it? I forget what they call it, but everything's in a warehouse. All the athletic gear that wasn't used, and kids can come in and buy it at a discount.
Oh, that's cool.
It's pretty cool. Give that man a follow. If you're interested in his betting package, hit him up, shoot him a DM, slide in those DMs. Yeah. We are going to be back next week with Lady effing D, who always is a hoot when she's on the show. So
I'm going to watch this. I will 100% be watching that. That is a primetime entertainment.
Make sure to tune in that. I absolutely love talking to that girl. So we'll be back next week. Best of luck in your best, my friend, and look to having you on later in the year. We'll talk soon, my friend.
Appreciate it.